I never thought I would be sitting in my small apartment at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night, staring at a spreadsheet that documented every dollar I had given my family over the past decade. My fingers hovered over the laptop keyboard, exhausted but determined. The Excel file was open, showing row after row of transactions, and the number at the bottom made my stomach turn. $150,000. That is how much I had paid to keep my family afloat. I always thought it was what a good son should do. I thought family meant sacrifice. But when they called me selfish for refusing to pay my brother's college tuition, something inside me finally snapped. So I did what any exhausted, financially drained oldest son would do. I sent them an itemized bill for $150,000. Before I tell you how it all came to this, I want to know. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments. If you have ever felt taken for granted by your own family, hit that like button. And subscribe, because this story gets a whole lot messier before it gets better. Trust me, you will want to hear what happened when they opened that email. I was born in a small town in Ohio, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone and life moves at a slower pace. My family was what you would call lower middle class. My dad worked as a mechanic at the local auto shop, coming home every night with grease under his fingernails and exhaustion in his eyes. My mom worked part-time at a doctor's office, answering phones and filing paperwork. We were not poor, but we were not comfortable either. Money was always tight, always a source of quiet stress that hummed beneath the surface of our household. Then there was my brother Ethan, 7 years younger than me. From the moment he was born, I could see the difference in how our parents treated us. I do not blame them entirely. Parents learn as they go, and by the time Ethan came around, maybe they felt more secure, more capable. But the contrast was impossible to ignore. I remember being 13 years old, standing at the kitchen sink, washing dishes after dinner. The water was scalding hot, and my hands were red and pruny. Through the doorway, I could see Ethan, who was 6 at the time, sprawled on the living room floor with a video game controller in his hands. The sounds of digital explosions filled the house. My mom walked past me, patted my shoulder absently, and then settled onto the couch near Ethan. When I asked if he could help with the dishes, she said, "Let him be, he is just a kid." I wanted to say that I had been doing chores since I was 6, but I kept my mouth shut. I loved my little brother. I thought it was my job to protect him, to be the example. By the time I turned 15, I got my first job at the local grocery store. I wanted spending money, something that was mine, something I did not have to ask my parents for. I worked every afternoon after school and all day on Saturdays. My paychecks were small, maybe $80 a week, but they were mine. Meanwhile, Ethan, who was 8, got new toys almost every month. Action figures, video games, a bicycle with shiny chrome handlebars. I told myself it was fine. Things were better now. My parents could afford to give him what they could not give me. When I turned 17 and graduated high school, I had a decent GPA, 3.5, good enough to get a partial scholarship to the state university an hour away. The scholarship covered about half of my tuition. The rest I had to cover myself. I took out student loans and worked 2 part-time jobs, one at a campus bookstore and another at a pizza place on weekends. I was exhausted all the time, juggling classes and work and trying to have some semblance of a social life. My parents told me they were proud of me for being so independent. I felt proud too, but I also felt alone. I wondered if they realized how hard it was. By the time I turned 21 and graduated with a degree in business administration, I had landed a decent job at a logistics company. The starting salary was $45,000 a year. It was not a fortune, but it was stable, and after 4 years of scraping by, stability felt like a luxury. I started paying off my student loans immediately, $250 a month. I moved into a cheap apartment with a roommate and began building my life. Meanwhile, Ethan was 14. He did not have chores. He did not have a part-time job. He had the newest iPhone, expensive sneakers, and a closeness with our parents that I had never quite felt. When I asked my mom why things were so different for him, she said, "You had to work because we could not afford it back then. Things are better now. We can give him what we could not give you." I swallowed the unfairness and told myself she was right. They were doing the best they could. Then came the first time they asked me for money. I was 22. It was January, and Ohio winter was brutal that year. I was at my apartment one evening when my phone rang. It was my dad, and his voice sounded strained, almost shaky. "Tony, son," he said, "the furnace died. It is the middle of January, and the repair guy said it will cost $1,200. We do not have it right now. Your mom's hours got cut at work, and we are barely making it as it is." I did not hesitate. I checked my bank account. I had $3,200 saved money I had been putting away for emergencies. I told him I would transfer it that night. He said they would pay me back, but I told him not to worry. Family takes care of family. That is what I believed. That weekend I drove home to visit. The house was warm again, and my mom cooked a big dinner to celebrate. She hugged me tight and said, "You saved us, honey." I felt good. I felt needed. I felt like I had done the right thing. But as I sat at the dinner table, I noticed Ethan wearing a brand new North Face jacket, the kind that cost about $200. I did not say anything. I figured they had bought it before the furnace broke. It was not my place to question. 2 months passed, and my parents never mentioned paying me back. I did not bring it up either. I felt awkward asking like I would be the bad guy for keeping track. So I let it go. I told myself it was just a one-time thing, a fluke emergency that would not happen again. I was wrong. Over the next few years, the requests kept coming. Each one felt urgent. Each one felt justified. And each time, I said yes. When I was 23, my mom called me on a Tuesday afternoon. Her car needed a new transmission, and the mechanic quoted $2,800. "Tony," she said, "we cannot get to work without the car. What are we supposed to do?" I had just gotten a raise at work, bumping my salary up to $52,000 a year. I felt like I could afford to help. I transferred the money that same day. This time, they did not even mention paying me back. I did not ask. But the following weekend, I saw Ethan post a picture on Instagram from some fancy restaurant downtown, laughing with his friends. He was 16. I pushed down the irritation and told myself I was being petty. At 24, my dad had an accident at the auto shop. Nothing too serious, but he needed knee surgery. The insurance covered most of it, but the out-of-pocket costs came to $5,400. My dad called me, his voice heavy with frustration. "I cannot work until this is fixed, son. We are going to fall behind on everything. I used my entire year-end bonus to cover it." I felt good about it. My dad needed to heal. That was more important than my savings account. When I turned 25, my mom called about the roof. It was leaking and water was dripping into Ethan's bedroom. The repair would cost $3,200. I hesitated. I asked if it could wait a few months. She sounded hurt. "The ceiling is literally leaking into his room, Tony. What are we supposed to do? Let it get worse." I transferred the money. A month later, I came home to visit and saw a massive new television in the living room, at least a 70-inch screen. My mom said their old one had stopped working, and this one was on sale. I nodded and said nothing, but something inside me started to crack. At 26, my dad admitted they had racked up $4,800 in credit card debt. The interest rate was killing them, he said. If I could help them pay it off, they would save so much money in the long run. I asked what they had spent it on. He got defensive. "Just life, Tony. Bills, groceries. You know how it is." I paid it off because I did not want them drowning in interest. But weeks later, I found out through Ethan's social media that a chunk of it had gone toward a weekend trip he took with his friends to a lakeside resort. I felt sick. By now I was 25, 26, 27, and the pattern was impossible to ignore. My parents spent freely, and when they ran out, they called me. I was the safety net. I was the backup plan. And Ethan, who was now 18 and about to graduate high school, had never worked a day in his life. He had a car that my parents bought for him, a used sedan that still cost $8,000. He had the latest phone name brand clothes and a $200 monthly allowance for hanging out with friends. Meanwhile, I was living in a cramped apartment driving a car with 150,000 miles on it, skipping vacations and eating ramen to make sure I had enough left over to send home. Ethan graduated high school with a 2.8 GPA, no scholarships, no job. When I suggested he should work part-time to save up for college, my mom got defensive. He needs to enjoy his last summer before college, Tony. Not everyone is as driven as you. I bit my tongue, but the resentment was building. I wanted to scream. I was not driven. I had to be. You could not help me, so I had to help myself. But I did not say that. Instead, I said I was sorry and changed the subject. The breaking point came when I was 27. It was a Thursday night, and I was just getting home from work when my phone rang. It was a conference call. My mom, my dad, and Ethan were all on the line. That alone made my stomach drop. "We need to talk about Ethan's college situation," my mom said. I asked if everything was okay. My dad spoke up. "His tuition for next year is due. It is $22,000. I waited for them to continue, assuming they were calling to update me or ask for advice. Then my mom said, "We thought you could help cover it." I felt the air leave my lungs. Wait, what? Cover all of it? My dad sighed. "We are still paying off that credit card, and your mom's car is acting up again. We just do not have it." Then, for the first time, Ethan spoke. "Come on, Tony. You make good money. What is the big deal?" That sentence shattered something inside me. What is the big deal? As if I had not been carrying this family on my back for 5 years. As if every dollar I earned was not already spoken for by someone else. As if I did not have dreams, goals, a life of my own that I kept putting on hold. I felt my hands start to shake. I told them I needed to think about it. My mom's voice turned cold. "Think about it. He is your brother Tony. Family helps family." She used my own words against me. I told them I would call back, and I hung up. I sat in silence, my heart pounding. That night I could not sleep.